Hello everyone, this is Dane. So today I want to give my Backlash 2025 predictions. So we're going to go over each match that's on the card, tell you who I think is going to win, and anything that could happen within the match, whether it be interferences, whether it could be shenanigans that could happen, stuff like that. So let's just go ahead and get straight into it. So first up, let's talk about the match between the Ring General Gunther going up against Pat McAfee. So this match started around 3 weeks ago, and that's around when most of these feuds actually took place. There's maybe one match on this card, maybe two, that kind of had some stuff going on before WrestleMania and during WrestleMania, but this was a brand new feud right after WrestleMania. So for Gunther, this kind of feels like a side quest. This kind of feels like for something for just to give him something to do that could possibly lead into something bigger, maybe for like SummerSlam. So of course, Gunther kind of lashed out at the commentators with Michael Cole, and he put Michael Cole in a sleeper for a second, and then Pat McAfee interfered, and then Pat McAfee got smacked, and then he got choked at one point too, and it turned into this big thing, and now Pat McAfee wants revenge, and he wants to get his shot in at Gunther. But obviously, I feel like this could go one of two ways. This could go into a complete squash match, and Gunther just completely annihilates him, and maybe Pat McAfee gets a couple hits in, and that's about it. Or they could do the thing where Pat McAfee puts up a good fight and it surprises Gunther, which I'm getting a little tired of, honestly, because Gunther just constantly underestimates his opponents. And he even said during this last Monday Night Raw, with them two in the ring, Pat McAfee and Gunther, and he's like, hey, you underestimate your opponents, and that's going to be your downfall. So, and I feel like Gunther's going to learn his lesson this time, and he actually kind of said, I'm not going, you are in my sights. You're the only thing that's going to be on my mind. And that right there, I think, is going to be something that's going to play into this match, because I feel like, and I feel like a lot of people have been thinking this, there's going to be an interference in this match, and it's not just going to be Michael Cole, because I feel like Michael Cole is going to get involved in this match as well in some way, shape, or form, whether he smacks him upside the head with his headphones or a microphone, or he does something, right? He's going to get involved in this match, whether Gunther goes out to the announcer table and he like taunts Michael Cole and Michael Cole pushes him back or something like that. That could happen, but I think there's going to be a wrestler that shows up to help out, and I think this is going to lead into the Gunther versus Goldberg match that Goldberg is supposed to have before the end of 2025. Now, Goldberg does have at least one more match in him for his retirement before he retires for good. Now, he has said this. They said it's happening. We just don't know when. And of course, Goldberg in the past, Goldberg's one of my personal favorites from when I was a kid. So getting to see him one last time when I'm watching wrestling is just awesome. That's going to be awesome to see. Although I feel like it's going to be a short match, but we'll see if that even happens. I'm just speculating here after all. So I feel like this is going to turn into like more of a one-sided match until I think Goldberg comes out. Because I think Goldberg will be the one to go after like bullies and things like that. And I think he's kind of been known to do that in the past. So I think that'll be what happens with this match. Now, whether who wins this match, is it Pat McAfee or is it Gunther? I really hope it's Gunther. I think Gunther needs this. He desperately needs this win, and I think it's because of what happened during WrestleMania really kind of hurt him, in my opinion, with the whole you tapped out, and now people are chanting that. We saw him getting chanted that during this last Monday Night Raw, and that was, he needs something, man. This is like, Gunther is like one of the biggest evil beings in WWE right now. He's like one of the best heels, and the fact that they've kind of done that to him, he needs something, whether it be the win against Goldberg or just beating up Pat McAfee until he's bloodied up or whatever. But I do think and I hope that Gunther will win this, and then Goldberg comes out maybe afterwards. That's my prediction on that. So next up, let's talk about the Women's Intercontinental Championship between the Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria, going up against Becky Lynch. Now, this kind of started at WrestleMania, I guess, if that's how you want to put it. Or, according to Becky Lynch, this happened way before that with Bayley and that whole thing that happened with Bayley and Becky Lynch way back in the day. Now, Bayley is going to be involved in this match, I feel like. Some way, somehow, I don't know how, whether she comes out and costs Becky Lynch the championship, or she comes out after the match and beats up Becky Lynch after Becky Lynch wins. Now, This could go one of two ways. I really hope Lyra Valkyria retains here. And I think she needs this because Lyra Valkyria is finally connecting with the crowd. And you can see that in these last few episodes of Monday Night Raw with her back and forth between Becky Lynch and herself. It's just, I feel like for the first time since I started watching and getting to really know Lyra Valkyria, that she can talk on the mic. Like, this is something that we've never really seen, at least I've never seen on the main roster, that Lyra Valkyria can really hold her own here against Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch was just firing back at her with everything she had, and Lyra Valkyria had an answer for everything. And of course, there's been a little tussle between the two at the end of each thing. But I think they do a good job of really holding each other up like that. And it's just, I think it's been really enjoyable, and I'm really looking forward to this match. Lyra Valkyria is, of course, one of my favorites as of recent, and especially since she started this feud with Becky Lynch, where she finally got a story with the Intercontinental Championship, because everything we've had before this has just been match after match for the sake of it. There's been like a tiny bit of a story with like Ivy Nile and Dakota Kai. Not really. Dakota Kai was, unfortunately, Dakota Kai was just kind of thrown in there for a rematch and nothing ever came of it. I don't know. It was kind of whatever. And this is the first actual story with a real feud. So I really hope Lyra Valkyria retains here. But if they want to like raise up the stakes of the Women's Intercontinental Championship and having someone bigger like Becky Lynch hold it for a while, I could see that happening too. Now, what this could turn into is if Bayley does interrupt this match, we could have a triple threat maybe later down the road at SummerSlam with whoever wins here. And maybe if Lyra Valkyria retains here, then it'll be a triple threat at SummerSlam. And then maybe Bayley or Becky Lynch could take it then. Or if Becky Lynch wins it here, then I think if Becky Lynch wins it here, then Lyra Valkyria could take it back at SummerSlam. That's my prediction. I'm going to go with my gut, though, and say that Lyra Valkyria retains. So next up, let's talk about the Men's Intercontinental Championship. The Intercontinental Champion, Dominic Mysterio, going up against Penta. So I'm really looking forward to this match, but also the story here I feel like is the weakest out of any of the other matches on the card. And that's because this match kind of felt like it was just thrown together at the last second. It really felt like that they were going for Jay versus Logan Paul at Backlash, but then they backed out of it at the last second, and they needed something to throw on the card. That's really what this felt like, because it kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think that Penta really deserves a match right now after losing against Dom at WrestleMania, and then he beats JD McDonough randomly, and it's like, all right, man, you can have a match against Dom at Backlash randomly out of nowhere. It makes no sense, and it just felt like it was thrown on there at the last second just because. Now, whether something could happen at this match, I do think that Dominic Mysterio will retain here, but I could see Finn Balor coming out and causing some ruckus, causing some stuff that happens that maybe test the loyalty between him and Dom, and maybe he kind of tries to screw over Dom at one point, because I do firmly believe that at SummerSlam it's going to be Dominic Mysterio as the Intercontinental Champion going up against Finn Balor. We could get the start of that here, I think, but it all just depends because this match was kind of thrown on the last second. Do they have the plans for it, or is it just Dom's going to win? He's not going to win clean. That's just the way Dom is. So I could see JD McDonough coming out. I could see it's going to be probably all of the Judgment Day. We get to see JD McDonough. We have Carlito. Finn's going to be out there. Now, whether Finn does something is up in the air, but I do think that Dom's going to retain here. But I think it's going to be a really good match because obviously Dominic Mysterio and Penta are just really great in the ring. Okay, next up, let's talk about the United States Championship, a fatal four-way with the champion Jacob Fatu going up against LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. And I think a lot of us will say this, but I think this will be the best match on the card in terms of in-ring ability. It's just going to be a lot of fun. I think there's just a lot of shenanigans that could happen here. And I don't mean like in terms of like people running out to save something. Now, I could see Solo Sikoa actually coming out here and trying to cost Jacob Fatu the title at some point, but failing. I feel like that's bound to happen at some point. Or Jacob Fatu could just win clean and Solo's not there at all. But I don't really see that happening with the whole thing they're trying to set up between Solo and Jacob right now. Now, there's not much else to really say about this match except I think it's just going to be a really good match. Now, who's going to take the pin here? Because there's four guys. Who's going to pin who? It's really, really hard because I feel like they're trying to protect LA Knight right now. And I really think they're trying to protect Damian Priest well, I don't know about right now because he just got pinned at WrestleMania. They were really protecting him for a while, but I don't know. Maybe they've let up on that a little bit. So I think what's going to happen is Jacob Fatu is going to pin Damian Priest. I feel like that's the best case scenario here. You got to save LA Knight, and you can't have Drew McIntyre get pinned again. He's just getting those roll-ups after Elimination Chamber and everything else between that. And then, I don't know. I just don't feel like that Drew McIntyre is going to get the one to get pinned here. If he does, I'm going to be kind of upset. I don't think he deserves it. Damian could take a pin. He'll be all right. And LA Knight, obviously, I feel like he's getting pushed more to the main event maybe after this is over. We'll see. So yeah, I do think Jacob Fatu is going to retain here. Now, if Solo Sikoa does come out and cost him the title, that would be crazy. LA Knight could win it back for the third time, which I don't know if I want that, because the second run as him as United States champion really wasn't anything. It was just kind of a transitional phase to give it to Jacob Fatu. So I don't know. I feel like Jacob Fatu hasn't even started, so he's going to retain here. And for the last match, we're going to be having the main event, Randy Orton going up against the undisputed WWE champion, John Cena. So I feel like this is going to be kind of a crazy match, and I could see it going a million different ways. The one way I don't want to see is I don't want to see Travis freaking Scott out there. No one wants that. It ruined John Cena's 17th title. If he just wasn't there, it would have made things much better. If The Rock showed up like he was supposed to, it would have made things much better. Now, what could happen here between these two? There's a lot of history between John Cena and Randy Orton. There's a lot of matches they've had with each other. I feel like they're going to have a lot of callbacks to each other that they've had in the past. Now, there's a lot of talks out there that this match could end in a disqualification of some kind, and it could end with Cena possibly smacking the ref because of what Randy did way back in the day to retain, and Cena could do the same thing here to retain. I don't know how I feel about that. I could see it and be like, haha, that's funny, but also that's kind of lame, especially if it's the main event and that's how you go home from the show, is just Cena smacking the ref and that's it. I don't know. I don't know if that's something. I want to see maybe he'll try it and then the ref just doesn't call the DQ. And he's like, oh shit, I was expecting you to call the DQ, but you didn't. You know, something like that. I could see something like that happening and that'd be really enjoyable. But I do firmly believe that John Cena is not losing here. He still has a ways to go in terms of his final year. So he's going to be holding this championship, I think, longer, until possibly SummerSlam, maybe after SummerSlam. But unfortunately, Randy, I don't think you're going to win here. But I don't know how Randy is going to be treated during this match, because John Cena has it's been like a 50-50 split, honestly, whether he's getting cheered or he's getting booed, because right now he's obviously the heel, but he's getting cheered sometimes wherever he goes. And Randy's supposed to be the babyface here. Now, I think Randy actually said recently that he's not really nervous, but he's just interested, kind of like excited to see how the crowd's going to treat him in his hometown, because this takes place in St. Louis, which is Randy's hometown. So how is the crowd going to treat him here? You know, what kind of shenanigans could happen? Could Travis Scott come out? I pray to God I hope not. I just hope it's a good match, because John Cena, during his WrestleMania match, it wasn't all that good. In fact, it was pretty bad. John Cena was just playing it safe almost the entire time, and I don't know if that was intentional, because he's just he can't do what he used to do. You know, he's doing a lot of heelish tactics, a lot of like elbows from the top rope, you know, stuff like that. That's mostly what he did, and then he ended up winning with a low blow and a championship to the face. You know, it was just. Is the same thing going to happen here? I feel like that could happen, where he hits Randy in the face with the championship and that's how he wins. Same way I could see it happening. Whether it happens, we'll see what happens. But I do think that John Cena is going to retain here regardless. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for this predictions video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this content, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more WWE predictions and content in the future. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you later.